It was the kind of day most women dreamed of all their lives. The church was filled with light, the air carried the scent of roses and lilies, and every seat was taken by smiling faces dressed in their best. Soft music floated through the hall, and anticipation hung heavy in the air. Amara stood at the edge of the aisle, her heart thumping so loudly she thought everyone could hear it. She adjusted the delicate lace on her gown, her fingers trembling, not because she doubted her love, but because the journey to this day had been long and complicated. She was about to marry Daniel, the man who had shown her that real love wasn't about perfection, but about patience, respect, and the quiet promises kept in everyday moments. For Amara, a black woman who had grown up in a world where love and dignity were often questioned, this wedding meant more than just vows. It was proof that love conquers, that kindness is stronger than bitterness, and that even wounds from the past could heal. But little did she know, before she could say I do, she would be tested in a way that would leave the entire church speechless. The ceremony began beautifully. Daniel stood at the altar, tall and proud, his eyes shining with tears the moment he saw her walking down the aisle. He mouthed the words, "Jure beautiful," and Amara smiled back, her heart swelling with gratitude. Friends whispered, mothers dabbed their eyes, and the children giggled softly. But in the back row, not everyone was smiling. Among the guests sat Rebecca, Daniel's ex. She wasn't invited, but she came anyway, unannounced, her presence already unsettling some. Rebecca was known for her pride, her sharp tongue, and the fact that they never truly accepted that Daniel had moved on. Their relationship had ended years ago, but she carried bitterness like a trophy, unwilling to let it go. No one expected what she was about to do. As Amara and Daniel exchanged vows, Rebecca's face twisted with rage. It wasn't enough for her to sit and sulk, she wanted to make a scene, to remind Daniel of the past, to humiliate the woman he chose over her. So when the ceremony ended and the celebration began at the reception, she made her move. The hall was alive with laughter, glasses clinking, and music filling every corner. Amara was glowing, greeting guests, her gown flowing like a river of white silk. That's when Rebecca approached. People noticed, whispers spreading quickly through the room. Some expected drama, others hoped she would simply congratulate them and walk away. But Rebecca had other plans. With a look of disdain, she came close to Amara, muttering something cruel under her breath. Amara, always gracious, tried to smile politely and step aside. But before anyone could react, Rebecca lifted her heel, and kicked Amara's leg hard enough that she stumbled. Gasps filled the room. The bride had been kicked, on her own wedding day. Daniel rushed forward, his face pale with shock, while guests froze, unsure whether to intervene or not. Anger rippled through the crowd, and several relatives stood up ready to throw Rebecca out. But before chaos could unfold, Amara did something no one expected. She steadied herself, lifted her chin, and instead of yelling or lashing out, she turned to Rebecca with calm eyes. Her voice trembled slightly, but it carried through the hall with clarity. I don't know why you feel so much pain inside, Amara said softly. But I know one thing, you can't heal by hurting others. You may have tried to break me just now, but all I feel for you, is compassion. The room fell into stunned silence. Rebecca blinked, caught off guard. No insult, no retaliation, just words filled with dignity. Amara reached for her gown, straightened it, and did something that brought tears to many eyes, she extended her hand toward Rebecca. You're welcome to stay, she said gently. Not because of what you did, but because I believe love is bigger than hate. If you came here to destroy me, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but you only reminded me of my strength. The guests were moved beyond words. Daniel stood behind his bride, his hand on her shoulder, pride and admiration shining in his eyes. Some guests began to clap softly, and soon the entire hall erupted into applause, not for the wedding itself, but for the grace and courage Amara showed in that moment. Rebecca's face crumbled. She had come to shame the bride, but instead, she stood exposed, her bitterness laid bare for all to see. Her hands shook, and for the first time, she looked small, broken even. Tears welled in her eyes. Why, she whispered, her voice cracking. Why would you treat me with kindness after she couldn't even finish her sentence. Amara took a breath and spoke from her heart. Because I know what it feels like to be broken, she said. I know what it's like to feel like love has left you behind. But hurting me won't heal you. Only forgiveness will. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day, you'll realize bitterness is a prison. Y won't they be your prisoner, Rebecca? And I don't want you to remain one either. At that, Rebecca broke down completely. She collapsed into a chair, covering her face as sobs racked her body. The same woman who had stormed in with fire and fury now sat trembling, her armor shattered by compassion she couldn't understand. Daniel pulled Amara close and whispered, "You're incredible." But Amara only smiled faintly, whispering back, "This is what love does. It heals, even the ones who hurt us." For the rest of the night, the wedding carried a new energy. Guests weren't just celebrating a marriage, they were witnessing something transformative, the power of grace in action. People hugged tighter, spoke kinder, and looked at Amara with admiration that went far beyond her beauty. She had taught everyone a lesson without preaching a word. And Rebecca? She didn't leave. She stayed, quiet and humbled, watching from the corner. For once, she wasn't the center of attention, Amara's light was too bright. And though she said little, the tears on her cheeks spoke volumes. Somewhere deep down, a seed had been planted. Years later, people would still talk about that wedding. Not about the flowers or the food or even the music, but about the moment the bride chose compassion over revenge. Some said it changed how they treated their families. Others said it made them reconsider grudges they had carried for years. As for Amara and Daniel, their marriage thrived, built on the same foundation Amara had shown the world that day, love that is patient, kind, and powerful enough to turn even the cruelest moment into one of hope. Because sometimes, the most unforgettable part of a wedding isn't the vows, or the kiss, or the dance. Sometimes, it's the moment when love proves itself stronger than hate, when a bride, after being kicked, lifts not her fist, but her heart. And everyone who was there would remember forever, what she did next left them speechless.